I should say one more thing too, that the best alternate electricity that we have, Darren is the one who's been developing it. He says that the best is, stay up here, Darren, is it would cost, you said, $1 a watt, yes?
Roughly $1 a watt to install.
We think that we can give electricity for 1 cent a watt.
We're hoping.
Okay, so tell us.
The microphone is coming.
You know, one time, Swami Ramatirtha, he was in America. He said, someday you Americans will take this yoga science and make it practical and bring it back to my people. That is what we are doing.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
You can stand straight.
Okay. As you know, our beloved Swamiji has come here at this mode in his life, all the way from America to India to bring these teachings to us, and we are very grateful for it. He has come here to show India the inner light, but he has also come here to show us the outer light. Many Indians, almost 40% of India, they live in rural areas and don't have access to basic electricity. Now, if we have to bring about change in their lives, Swamiji wants to address the problem of electricity. And that's why we formed a company, Ananda Solar Technologies. This company, we intend to develop products which are economical, which we can take to rural India, and we can bring about a change which we want to. Now, the way we going ahead with this is we are developing our own prototype. We cannot discuss a lot about the prototype at the moment, but we have a range of products which we have got, which we found will be ideal for the market, for the people. We've tried to understand what do these people need. And having solar energy, making use of solar energy is the best way, because we can go right to heart of India, rural areas where there's no distribution, no grid, and we can bring about light using simple systems with no maintenance. And one of the things we have is we'll make a demonstration. We'd like to show you something about it. But we want to build this company using the teachings which Swamiji has given us, material success using yoga principles. And we are very much, as we are developing the company, we are using every bit that we have learned from it. And as Master had said that someday the East and West are going to unite, and America and India will join hands. And one of the things this company is going to do is not only going to serve India, but it's going to serve America and the West as well. So we have products for the Indian market, but also we have products which will help the West, which will generate energy. If you look around, you know, as Swamiji mentioned, there's news about global warming. People are becoming aware every day. And a big change is required, but the big change can be brought about by the change in consciousness in a small way, when every person starts thinking and realizes that you have to do your bit, and then slowly there will be a big wave. And we have got hybrid systems, like we are making use of wind energy, we are making use of solar energy, and we are exploring every other possibility.
Wind energy.
So we'd like to show you a small system which we think will bring about this change which we are talking about in India. It's a very small system. It will cost roughly $212, and we are working with banks to take finance to small communities in rural India. Now, I'd like to show you the system. this box is all it takes. This box and a small solar panel. The
You
solar.
have the panel?
My colleague Kent
Kent
would
White
like.
has the skill to make a Ferrari out of nothing.
So this is a panel. Simply hook up this panel on the top of your house. So the users will probably hook this up and install this little baby. You don't hold it? No.
This is quite fun.
Now you don't need an MIT degree to figure out how to operate this. Minimum connections, low maintenance.
It's like your Christmas tree at home. Okay, hit the switch,
Hit the switch,
on the front. Do you have it on?
switch it on, all of them. And that's it.
Set it up and- This can power
Yeah.
4 rooms, 4 lights in a village. For $200 they can get it.
Now in this,
And it's free after you've got it.
yes,
Electricity is free.
electricity is free. And this has a life of 20 years. Now in this flashlights, it may not make a big impact, but you think about the millions of people who are living in rural India. After the sun goes down, they have no light in their houses. And this can enable them to do a lot of things. This can help their children get education. So we think
And they can run computers with it too.
they can.
Yeah.
We have got various models. The bigger ones can run computers too. You can have telephone line, you can charge your mobile.
And if you want to take one light from one room to another,
This is another one. Now these are, as an energy company, we are looking at different applications. Now you have seen villagers do have mobile phones. In rural India, it's all catching up. So we've got products for them as well. We've got a solar mobile charger. Right, so you have to think about them because when they progress through life, you have to be with them all the time. So we've got mobile chargers. In Gurgaon, the light goes off so often that this is ideal. This is a solar torch, solar flashlight. And all this we'll be manufacturing under our own brand name. Now,
and you can recharge your mobile phone, so you can have your mobile phone in the country.
we'll be having laptop chargers. One of the things is we'll be soon installing a solar street lamp in this area.
Yeah.
So for new developments, you don't need to have a lot of digging going on. The solar lamps can be installed anywhere. Now, one of the products we have for the West is wind turbine, a windmill. Because we figured out, we can collect sun.
Can you hear?
You can, when the sun is shining, you can generate electricity. And once we have our prototype up and running, we can save that electricity so you can use it when the sun goes down. In the meantime, we are coming up with a hybrid system which will use wind energy and solar panels. So when the sun is out, you can get electricity from solar. And when the sun goes down, the wind turbine will generate the electricity. And very soon, we'll have a product, probably during Mahasamadhi, you can see one of those. We'll have one on display.
And Dharana, do you want to explain our system, or do we want to wait until it's done?
we don't want to explain too much of our system until it's proven. And until we know for sure exactly how much, it's easy to say 1 penny per watt of installation. It's harder to achieve. People have been trying and trying. 1 watt of installed power means 1 watt every moment that the sun is shining. So it's a lot different than the kilowatts that you pay for from the utility company. I mean, you get it the rest of your life for 20 years or 30 years. The traditional approach has been with photovoltaics, where you have silicon working with things. We're trying to use mirrors, because mirrors can be much less expensive than photovoltaics. And we're working with a particular kind of a heat engine. It works a little bit like your refrigerator, except in reverse. So instead of putting electricity in and getting hot and cold out, we put hot in on one side, and we get some cold water that's been looped around underground, where the temperature stays even all year round. We put the hot and the cold together, and we get energy out. And the trick is to do that very, very inexpensively. And that's what a lot of these ideas are all about. And we would appreciate your prayers that we can actually make these things happen. And
Thank you. Thank you. Now I want to have Vijay come and tell us.
Well, it's been my good fortune to do a fair amount of traveling around India during the last year and a half, sharing the Material Success Through Yoga Principles course with management students at international conferences of businessmen, and to a number of corporates, companies like Tata Consultancy Services, Terry Research Group, AIMA, the All India Management Association. We're currently working with the Punjab Bank, HSBC, and Bechtel. These are all very prestigious companies, and they're almost universally, wherever I go, people are excited about what we offer. It's truly unique, and they're hungry for it. It's something that they know they need. They're getting students into that come into the companies through the recruiting system. These students have technical skills, but they don't know how to be people. They've got no training in how do you know who you are and how can you utilize and harmonize your life in the most satisfying as well as productive way. And one of the sort of surprising things that Swamiji has communicated in this course is that the very things that we need in order to grow our spirits are the very same things that will help us to be as successful as we seek in our outward lives. That these two goals are not against each other. They're not in conflict. That they're actually mutually beneficial. So as Swamiji was saying, when we look in business, we have friends instead of competitors. And our customers are our family. They're not people separate from us. And it's the human values, it's this consciousness of realizing that we can bring our highest spiritual ideals into our daily lives, and that this is what will be good for everybody. So we end up with win-win instead of my success at the cost of your loss, which is sort of the vision of capitalism that most people have. So what we find is that these HR people and these CEOs recognize that they desperately need exactly what it is that we do. And so, of course, businesses take time to grow. We're in a very exciting time right now because we've moved into a new office. Our staff has been bolstered with Dharmaraj and Dharmini, Sangita and Haridas. And We have a classroom now, so we're actually putting on our own programs in our own environment, which is a very powerful thing. We have a newsletter in our second month. It's just about to come out, a monthly newsletter for material success through yoga principles. We're developing our website. We have study groups where people can connect with each other in order to increase their involvement with the learning process. And see, we don't just teach people to, read it, memorize it, but be transformed by it. This takes time. This isn't something that you just do in an hour or in a minute. So we're going to support people through these programs, and we're all very excited, and there you go.
And Stuti?
Good evening, Swamiji. Thank you. Dear friends, Swamiji asked Elizabeth and me to start a consulting business, which we now share with you. It's called Harmony at Work. It's based on Swamiji's principles. It's based on his vibrations. And as Swamiji has said, that material success and spiritual success go together. So if you're successful spiritually, it will manifest itself in material form too, provided we follow the right principles. A lot of companies have been investing in infrastructure and machines, but it's equally important to invest in people. And that is what we're trying to do, invest in human capital. I won't go so far in saying that we can teach anyone anything, but we are collaborating with people, with companies, with Swamiji's vibration, and we are trying to work with them to increase their productivity. We are happy to share with you that we are launching a training program where you can become ambassadors, along with us, become corporate presenters. We are going to offer these courses in companies throughout India. And please come and join us. And if you would like to know more, please contact Elizabeth or me after this lecture.
What I want to say is I don't expect all of you to help, but if you put your thoughts behind it, it will grow.
Thank you, Swamiji.
And now, Preeti? Puoi parlare anche tu?
Listening to Swamiji today, I was reminded, just recently I've read this book by this Booker Prize winner by Kiran Desai. Not here to recommend it, but there was one fascinating passage in that where one old middle-aged person is telling a young woman about his parents who led very privileged lives and for some reason gave it all up and went and lived in an ashram. So she asks him, she says, what do people do in an ashram? She says, he tells her, they indulge in starvation and sleep deprivation, as a result of which they howl out to God to take them away from this earth. And I read it, and I said, if only they could see Ananda, if only they could see what Swamiji has shown us and what our Guru has shown us, how much joy there can be in this kind of life. That's number one. Now, Swamiji spoke about his age and his tiredness. I was 38 years old when the opportunity to pick up a nursery school plot came my way. I had some extra funds at that time and I wanted to invest in something, and I happened to be working for DLF, and I asked my boss, who was very savvy, I said, look, I've got this much money and I'd like a little plot, and 500 yards is about it, so can you advise me? He says, I've got just the thing for you. Look at this. This is a 1,200 square yard nursery school plot, and you can... I said, no. I just want a small place where I can build my house. And he says, no, you just build a small 3-room nursery, and then you can build your residence, and you'll have these vast lawns. And it took him 4 months of working at me before I said, well, not a bad idea. And I put down the money, and I picked that up. That was 14 years ago. For some reason, DLF and the Haryana government had some problems. It went into litigation, and we just sat and waited. And it came to us about 2 years ago, and at which time I said, my God, I'm too old. I don't have the strength and the energy to take a loan and to build this and whatever. So I started looking out for a buyer. And meanwhile, Nirmala and everybody had shared their desire to have a small place to run an institute. So I was herring all over the countryside, trying to look at little bits of property that, what we can get. And one day it just struck me. I said, why don't I build this? And I live in a rented house, so I don't have a home of my own. So I said, why don't I build this? And I can build my home there, and we can run this nursery school. And then I had Swamiji's book on Education for Life, and I went through that, and I said, we can have the nursery there, and the nursery is a 3-hour operation during the mornings, and the rest of the day, the classrooms can be utilized. And then it struck me, I said, how marvelous it will be, because these days, running nursery schools is a very lucrative business. There's a lot of money because frugality is not necessarily seen as a virtue. And rightly so, why should you be take it upon yourself to be charitable towards, do charity to someone who's got 6 air conditioners in their house? You want to do it, you do it somewhere else. So, but it still hurts that we see a nursery school. We all know that those are the developing years, years 0 to 5, when a child imbibes most of what, and grows mentally to whatever level, I think 80% of what he will ultimately ever be. And the concept that we have here is more of minding children, okay? That they're there, look after them, they must not run out, they must not do this, are they playing, are they doing? But spending time with them, molding them, getting them to grow. And I do believe the values, I tell my children this all the time, I've learned it on my own, as most of us have, and I keep telling my children that everything that you really need to know in life, as far as right and wrong is concerned, you have learned by the time you are 5 years old. And so I turned to Nirmala, I said, look, would you be able to do this? Can we collaborate in this way, that you get your people to come and run the nursery school? That is, Ananda does it. And when the classes are over, we hand it over to Swamiji for the teachers' training and the institute. So right now, I think by 1st of January is the deadline. The plans are with the architect, which we shall be seeing next week, and hopefully Nirmala will be able to give her inputs. And the funds are yet to come. I'm applying for a loan. So your prayers would be very handy. And
so this is a solid beginning. And
With
the little children would be there in the morning, and the adults would be there in the afternoon and evening.
yes.
Same facilities. We can train teachers to go all over India. This is the children of India are the important people right now. Thank you. And one other person I have asked to help build our work in a practical way is Cecilia. Would you say some words? I'm honored, Swami. Cecilia is a real go-getter from Italy.
It's namaskar, everybody, and lots of love to everybody. It's beautiful and touching to observe how Swamiji deeply understands the reality of the countries where he goes on a mission for his guru. Not only bringing deep light and deep and powerful keys to open doors of gold, but how he deeply understands and starts a dialogue with the deep reality of the countries where he goes. 3 years ago, the 6th of February of 2004, he asked me if I wanted to help financially the work here in India, starting to work with a symbol of India, which we all know, khadi. Khadi cottons, khadi silks, hand-spun, hand-woven. So immediately touching the heart of this country, which is the 75% of the reality, the villagers, no? And I started to look for this deep reality of India, which is the world of the countryside, still spinning, still weaving. And by the grace of Swamiji and Master, I founded a company called Anjali, because it wants to be only an act of offering to God. And this company has made clothes in khadi cottons, in khadi silks, from the poorest areas of the country, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Bihar. And these clothes have been sold now for 2 years and a half in Italy and now in America, with 3 catalogs, which are not only a merchandising action, but all this wants to be a bridge between the West and East, trying to transmit a symbolic little jewel, which is what India has been teaching forever. A little line, a little thread of simplicity, of purity, of love, of truth, of khadi, something which comes from the inner soul of the person with her own deep attention to create something which is going to cover us, but still bringing a message. And articles have been written in newspaper, articles have been written in magazines, I've received interviews, and now people, while they receive a piece of khadi, they find together with the piece of khadi a little pamphlet, how can I say in English, a paper, Yeah, okay. It's a beautiful paper where all the history of khadi is written, and quotations from Gandhi, quotations of quotes. Quotes from Gandhi and from Yogananda about the deep value of khadi. So trying to reach people, even through this action of a material, if we want, a material action, but trying to reach people with messages, which at the end are connected with the deep soul of India, manifested in khadi and expressed by the teachings of the many great souls of India, whose Yogananda is a big representative. So I'm deeply grateful, Swamiji,
So
for
you
this
see,
opportunity.
we've been fairly busy.
I would like just to say one more thing, Swamiji, that this request of Swamiji has brought me in many places of the countryside where really you can discover how the solar power system can be a big solution. Because I've been traveling in many villages all over India, and honestly, in the deep countrysides, they have light only, but you all know, they have light and power only between midnight and 6 o'clock. Well, they obviously...
That's a little bit like Gurgaon.
They are not exactly reading Shakespeare at that time, but you see all these poor men on the streets going for, finally gets to use the power for irrigation. So from 12 to 6 you have people irrigating the fields, then going back home, having little lunch, having little something to eat, then going back to the fields to work with the hands, waiting for midnight again for irrigating. It's unbelievable.
Another
and this
thing
is
that we're doing is with solar power, purifying water. So many people die because of impure water. This is a very important thing.
When you go to the country, you see, I've been living with the villagers. Now it's 3 years of this kind of life. And I've been living with them. And the water they have is, because of the heating problem of the planet, now there is almost only one, come si dice pozzo? Wall?
One well.
One well only work in each village, which before was 8 wells, 10 wells. So you see all these women, only women going with this big thing, many times in one day, okay? So they go to find this. Then they go home, and you see in these homes a big sort of pot where the water is stagnating, can you say? Stagnant, because obviously it's hot, there are mosquitoes, there are all these things which bring malaria. I mean, it's evil play, no? Which, if we are able, by the grace of Swamiji and grace of God, to break, would be so great. Again, a symbol of material light, symbolic of the inner light, no? So trying to change the material plan through what we know about the inner plan. So this is, I think, one of the most beautiful ways of living.
Grazie. So as you see, we are busy. We're not just chanting Om. I would like you all to join us and do what you can. I would like to begin a village in this area as far as we can. Land costs a lot, but if we all pitch together, the money that we can earn from the electricity alone can become a big thing, very big thing. I want it to be owned by us so that nobody comes in and says, oh, I can become a billionaire. I would like it to be primarily to serve people. If we can bring electricity to all the villages, what a wonderful blessing it would be. But it will take work, and I would love for everybody to pitch in and work with us on this. Well, God bless you, and thank you all.